so late. So I apologize. As people kind of come on here, we are going to talk through hiring and training an assistant. I'm going to give you some best practices. And as you guys have questions, go ahead and type them up, and I will make sure I address them here. As you sign on to, I just want to make sure that we mute everybody. All right, so we're going to get started. Today, we're going to talk through how to get organized as you start to, think about hiring here. And we're going to give you some tools too, so that you guys can use those with hiring. The biggest thing for me is, we love to follow the career visioning model, which is a Keller Williams taught model. And it's been really great, but we deviate from that a good amount. And there's some things that I feel like we do really well, and that we've kind of learned over the years of doing all of this that has enabled us to, to hire hundreds and hundreds of people now and have them stick around. And so a big part of that is just the phone screening and having those questions and everything that you guys really want to get out of them on the phone ready to go. And so it's all about being organized. I like to review people's discs right away. It's just a powerful tool, and it really truly has remained one of my favorite tools. So I would say, if you have the ability to ask people for their disc when you are, asking them for their resumes, that is key. Having a second interview. So that's the in-person interview, bringing them in. I love to go over an assessment. And as you know, we like the KPA or the Keller Personality Assessment. It is really a powerful tool. The WAVE assessment's a super powerful tool as well. And so I love those, and I'll use the DISC too if I'm not going to use those. But those are two really powerful tools that you can use. Doing a timeline interview of sorts. So taking them, from graduation of high school until now, and talking through every single job, every single time they've had a raise, and talking through the money that they made, how long they were there, what happened there, and then talking through what we call highs and lows in their life, great achievements, things that they're really proud of. And that could be buying a car or having my first kid. I hope that stuff shows up on the timeline. And then we all go through really, really hard things, guys, and those things make us who we are. And so I would tell you too that, if you can do something where you can obtain information about them and the hard things they've gone through in their life and the great things that have come out of those and what they've learned, that's a huge thing. One of the things that we do that a lot of other people don't, that I think this has really made us successful, is this scenario questions. And so we have come up with some scenarios that we feel really strongly about, and they really help us figure out if we have a problem solver in front of us, because at the end of the day, I don't want to hire anybody in real estate if they're not a problem solver. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that's what we do all day long as real estate agents. And I think it's extremely important to be able to problem solve. So this is a really great example of something that we might talk through. And I put the actual question here, and you'll have to kind of, you can adjust it as you feel necessary. But normally when I'm interviewing somebody, I will talk through a scenario of, having a newer agent who goes out on a listing appointment, and they get the listing and they're very, very excited. So they get all the papers signed, and everything that you've taught them as an admin goes out the window. And so, they're talking to their client, and the seller says, listen, I have a key, and here you can have my key, but it's only one key and we don't have any others. What we do is we use our garage door opener, and we pull the car into the garage, and then we always keep the door from the garage into the kitchen open and unlocked. So as long as, when we have showings, as long as you make sure that door stays unlocked, we'll be good to go, and you can have our only key. Well, that agent takes the key and sticks it in an electronic lockbox and puts it on the door. And the electronic lockbox, you can only access with an electronic lockbox key. So you can't put a combo in and just release the key. And you have to be an agent or an inspector or somebody with an electronic lockbox key in order to access it. And so then we, you know, of course, tell this candidate that the wonderful agent comes back and tells them the deal with the key and says it's on the front door. And you, of course, as an admin, smack their hand and say, bad, don't ever do that again. We always need 2 keys. But you really are excited for them. So you take it live and you get it up on the market. And sure enough, the first person that's going through, that showing assistant does not pay attention to your directions in the MLS or the directions in showing time. And they lock the door in between the garage and the kitchen. Your homeowner calls, they're really upset, and you're over an hour away from the home, but you want to get them in as soon as possible. And we just say, what do you do? Right? And we let them just kind of go through a thinking process, guys. My favorite answer to something like that would be to call the agent that didn't pay attention to the instructions and send them back out to open that door, right? Because that's, I mean, you didn't listen to directions. You just left the house. Go back and open it, agent. Other than that, I'll allow, you know, a locksmith to go over there and open it, but that still might take some time. We've had some candidates say, listen, I'm going to send somebody out there, or I'm going to send somebody out there in a locksmith, but I'm going to tell them to go to their favorite restaurant and go eat dinner, and you know, I'll let them know as soon as it's open. I loved that answer. That was fabulous. So, you know, again, you're looking for somebody who can kind of think through how to not call you as an admin and just take care of all of the problems that you might have, right? So that is when we start to have somebody who's, if they can get through scenarios like that and really come up with some good ideas, man, you've got somebody good on your hands. And we all have a million scenarios that have happened that we fix. So think through those scenarios and write them down for yourself so that when you're sitting there interviewing somebody, you can really see how their brain works. So once you do make the hire, you know, obviously there's a lot to hiring. I mean, you should do reference checks and all those fun things. But once you make the hire, I feel like that's probably the biggest stress of agents, or the biggest stress that I see on a regular basis. Agents get so like worried about, well, I'm never in the office. I'm never there. What are they going to do? And so what we did is we come up with these wonderful, you know, hour by hour schedules for them. And I will give this to anybody who's in here today, but, you know, this is a perfect example of their first week of what I kind of want somebody to do, right? So I want them to come in. I want them to, you know, kind of get a tour the first day. I want them to introduce themselves to anybody that they haven't met. I want them to sit down with the agent for only 2 hours the first day. And I put together like an actual meeting of all the things that I want this person to think about. Because chances are, if you're an agent, especially if you're a solo agent, you are probably somebody who has all of your passwords saved on your computer and you don't even know what they are because you're a salesperson and you haven't organized your passwords. And if you are truly that person, then you also, you know, haven't sat down and really figured out what systems do they need to go into and how do I set them up? Well, if we've hired the right admin, you don't need to do any of those things. You can just sit down and have a conversation about all of the systems that you use, give them the usernames and passwords, give them the logins, and then let them start to poke around and figure things out. And they can create a password list, right, for you, because they need to start immediately taking your entire life and organizing it. That's what this is all about. And so, you know, a big piece of organizing it for you guys is to, you know, to take all of these things and really start to put them into something where they know exactly how to access it and when. I like to also have the admin sit down and talk through what I call, as an agent, your I hate to do list. There are things as an agent that if you didn't ever have to do again, you'd be so happy. And so we would love to take those things off of you first, right? Because gosh, if you guys could be happy, you're going to go out and sell more. And so make that I hate to do list. Think of all the things that you were like, gosh, if I never have to do this again, I'm going to be thrilled. Write them down. And then those are the things that you give to your admin first and foremost. Teach them right away because it's going to free your brain up so fast. And it's such a good thing. Okay, so then, we're going to talk through, all these different questions. And again, we'll give you guys access to all this, so don't feel like you've got to write any of it down or look at it. But, having an hour by hour thing, like even where they're taking lunch, that starts to allow your brain to go, okay, they're going to be at lunch from 12 until 1, like I can do some work then or whatever. This is the important part. So coming up with projects. So project number 1 is actually, creating a referral contest for us and putting all of those passwords into place, or into a sheet where it's like all there so that everybody can access it. And project number 2 is the easiest one to give to somebody that honestly they could probably do for the rest of their life as your admin. So anytime they have downtime when they come into our training, they're asked to deal with your database, right? And so we actually came up with a Sphere call. And again, we'll give this to you too. But we want them to call through your database. And so some of you might be sitting there going, oh my God, I don't even have a database. How would I do that? That's fine. If you don't have a database, then what we need to do is give your admin your phone, your cell phone, give them access to your email and tell them to download every one of your contacts. And then they need to put that into a spreadsheet. They need to organize it. And that's fabulous project number 1, right? Organize it, make sure there's no duplicates, get it all into a spreadsheet. And then guess what? You need a CRM. So whether you just use, something that your company has given you, or you go with something that's like, LionDesk is $25 a month. Like if you can afford that, get something that you can put, all of your contacts in and really start to methodically follow up with them. It's going to be huge for you. So we, again, build that database, and then you can start to have them, like once they actually do that for you, again, you don't have to do that. Just let that be their project, right? So again, think of things that like you feel like you have to do that are huge projects. You don't. Those are your admin's projects. That's what the best thing about hiring an admin is to give them those things and say, please go do all of these things, right? So once they're calling through, they get to, call up and they get to say, hey, my name's Lindsay. I'm calling from Roundtable Real Estate Team. Do you have a few minutes? If yes, you're going to continue on. Great. We're updating our database and I want to make sure that we have all the correct information for you. Obviously, we have the correct phone number for you, right? Because we just connected with them. Can I confirm your spouse's significant other, whoever, somebody is living with them, we want to actually get that information, and then the next part is your address still? Because hopefully we have an address in there. If we don't, then we really want to get it. But, is your address still? Is your email address this? Then we want to talk about, is your significant other's email still, so lead them through that process so they can get through it pretty quickly. One of the biggest things is we're going to have them introduce that referral contest. You don't want to give something for every referral. That's a RESPA violation, but you could very well give, you could obviously write a thank you note for every referral and maybe give a cup of coffee or something with that, a little gift card. But you also could, have a contest where you're going to take all the people that do give you referrals, throw them into a box, their names into a box, shake the box up, and once a month or once a quarter, you're going to go ahead and you're going to, give away an Apple Watch or dinner for 4 or a trip to Bermuda or whatever you want to do, right? But if you give the admin the ability to talk about this, they're going to generate leads for you. You've just hired an admin. So we would really love to start bringing in more business, right? Well, let's let the admin do that. So if they can talk about this, it's very easy for them to talk about this. It is not easy for an admin personality to follow up with leads or to generate business. They are just not those people. They are not salespeople. So salespeople out there that keep calling me and saying, hey, I would really love for somebody to be able to sell a little bit and follow up with leads, but also be really organized. That doesn't exist. It's just, they're different personalities. So go get another salesperson or an ISA if you want somebody to follow up with leads. In my opinion, this is the way. This is the way to help your admin generate some business, is to give them a tool that will allow them to easily have a conversation. And so we're going to introduce the referral contest, whatever it is. If you give us their name and their phone number, we'll call. You don't have to do anything. Okay. So, obviously if they give you one right then and there, that would be huge. And then the admin just needs to know what to do with that. Does that go straight to you? Do they reach out and schedule an appointment for you or whatever? Obviously if they say no, then we ask them if they would prefer an email to respond to. Here's the email that we can send out to somebody to get their information so that we update their information in our database. And you know what? And I forgot this part. It's just really great while they're doing all of this, you guys, to get them to get the date of birth, the birthday, so that we can send them something as well. So don't cut that out. If you're afraid and you're like, I don't know like what to do for the birthdays, then talk to me. There's so many easy solutions to that. Okay. So obviously, if you've got a voicemail, we're going to give them a voicemail there too to use. So again, having some of this kind of stuff ready to go is really going to help you. And that's a huge project for them to go through and to update all of that, right? So as you're out showing homes and they don't know what to do, that's what they're going to do. Go work on the database stuff. And for a little while, you high Ds are going to be really stressed out. High D. A high D is a D in the DISC assessment. And they are dominant, decisive. Most of our listing agents, I want to make sure I go over that so that people are like, what's a high D? Okay. So if you're a high D and you hire this person, you may want them to send just a quick little email at the end of the day saying, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, but I also called and updated your database like 7 people or 15 people or however many it is, so that you feel like, okay, when they didn't have something to do, this is what they did. Okay. All right. So that's a project, and obviously that's kind of mapped out here. And then something else that I like to have them do on their own is to actually, to make an appointment with a title company, or make an appointment with, like, if you have an MCA or a manager or a conveyancer or something, you want to be able to have them go ahead and meet with the lender, meet with the title company, and, kind of start to understand what they do, because you shouldn't have to explain title, right? You shouldn't have to explain what a lender does. It is far easier for those people to explain what they do to your own admin. So again, you guys, like, that's a meeting that they can set up themselves once they know who it is. And then they can actually, get together with that person and start to ask them questions and understand things better. And then that way, you have a couple hours free so that you're not on the hook for being with them. So know that as I'm going through some of this stuff, you guys can pop questions up if you have any, and I can try to answer them too. And then you'll see we have some other wonderful things, other projects that they can do, like creating a, office manual and, building some action plans for you. So once you're able to sit down and actually go over, like what happens with a new listing or whatever, then you are able to kind of have them build that action plan. So, hopefully stuff like this will help. We do actually have at the end here, we say, like, hey, the items that the agent will stop what he or she is doing and show the admin. We've actually talked through kind of some of those things here, like with a listing going live, and what are the things that during a listing period that, like, you should stop what you're doing and talk through with the admin, listing under contract, buyer under contract, to-dos, all those different things. So this is just the first week. And then we have another, weeks 2 and 3 schedules that you guys could take a look at too, that really just help somebody, for the first 3 weeks, if we have hour by hour what they need to kind of do and how to stay organized, life is going to be so much easier. All right. We're also going to give you from this, which I think will really help. We kind of separated some of the jobs into 2 different jobs. We took everything that could happen as an admin, everything they could help you with, and we created 2 different admin jobs for it. And we stuck all of those in here. And so again, we'll give you all those too, because I think this is just really easy. A lot of you guys don't think about a lot of the things that you do, like writing checks, paying bills, that maybe could go over to an admin once they're in your office. Will this be available in the group docs? Yeah, so what we're going to do is we always give a link to our docs, and we'll keep it up there for a little while, and people can just grab all the documents out. So we've already populated the documents that we'll be keeping in there. So yes, they'll be there. So this is also something that I had talked about, the DISC. This document has been so useful to me. You've got those D&Is, which are normally the lovely real estate agents. And, a D is their dominance. I is influencing. They're fast and aggressive up here. They ask who on the I, they ask what over here. And these are the different, key emotions, like quick to anger, optimism, motivated by challenge and bottom line, flattery and recognition. And then you've got the S's and C's, which is who our admin are, guys. And so like you've got fear and risk aversion, like they're motivated by correctness. The S's are, they hide emotion and they're motivated by benefits, and it's better safe than sorry is their motto, and do it right's the C. Again, this is not the person to be making the phone calls for leads, right? Because they're stable and steady, compliant, correct, and controlled. They're just a different personality than these two here. So do you have a contract of employment for an admin that you could share as well? Yep, we could stick that in there. That is no problem. We have a pretty general one, and then you would have to kind of come up with your own, but we can do that for sure. What other questions do we have? You're welcome. So these are just some things that we do. But again, those projects I think are really going to help you guys in organizing. I think that's the biggest fear about like bringing somebody in is like, well, what are they going to do when I'm doing all these other things, right? What other questions do we have in here? We can ask all questions, regarding admin. And I know we don't have a ton of people in here because we ended up not being live here. So I apologize for that. And I think what we can do is when we post this video, we'll try to go live again on the same subject, and really, we can have people kind of come to us with whatever questions they have. So how much time from hire does it take to have them full up and running? Yeah, so for me, that's a 3-month period. But, after about 4 weeks, so after about the first month, they should be able to take things off of you like, entry into the MLS and, a lot of those things that actually this will help you when you pull this off online, like these things in the back here and the things that I put in the admin, 1 and 2, like they should be able to take some of this stuff off. And there's probably a lot of things that you're just not doing in here, right? Like, so like, birthdays in the database and like, there's like a million typos here. So we'll fix those. But like answering your phones, like if you have a Google number, like let's get it over to their desk immediately, right? Like, and again, you don't have to do that. Have them figure out how to do those things, right? But like maybe you're not like sending anything out for home anniversaries. Like if you kind of take a look at some of this stuff, like you can really go, oh my gosh, they can do all these things, right? Like scheduling my inspections. If your calendar's up to date and it's really good, they could totally schedule your inspections and call the inspector, get all the times that they're available, call the buyers and say, here are the times that the inspector is available and here are the times that Audrey's available. Does this work for you? And put it on your calendar and make sure that you're lined up to go, right? So there's a lot of things they can do. Question about the 33 Touch. Does your admin handle the whole process and how do you train them on it? Yes, and I actually did a training on the 33 Touch, and it's available on my YouTube channel, and it is on lead gen and objections too. But if you go to YouTube, I'll just show you, and you go to my channel, so you would have to search Lindsay Soprani. But if you go here, here's my 33 Touch class. So I actually talk about how to map it out and how to do it. And it's about an hour long. But if you give that to somebody and make them watch it, you can have them do that. I also have an amazing, we have an amazing Google Drive manual that we've set up. And I really think that, that could be another project, like listen to this video and somebody can go and create that for you guys. So those would be huge things. So let's see here. So don't train them on it. Just let them watch the video and make them train themselves. Or, Dirk, like you could totally have them, you could say, call to admin and learn how to do this and have somebody else teach them how to do that, right? So those are the things I want you to think through when you bring somebody in. What are the best sources of finding experience in professional admin? So here's the deal. In my opinion, I'm a big believer in bringing somebody in who doesn't actually have experience yet. And some people don't agree with me on that. But the reason why I like to do that is because I'm very specific on a lot of the things that I want to have happen. And if I tell you to go into Zillow every time I list a home and make sure that it's correct on there, then I need you to go do that. And if you're an admin that's had experience, you might be like, well, it funnels through from wherever, so it should be fine, right? You might not do it because you know better, quote unquote. But again, like, if you bring somebody new in who doesn't know and that's all they've ever known, then, it's just better. So for me, I post on ZipRecruiter. I post on WiseHire. WiseHire is a really cool system because it makes them do a disc as well. So if you were going to invest in anything, I would use WiseHire. And those are great little systems that push it out to bunch of different places in order to find really great admin. And I would, figure out a really good job ad. That is actually something that we can put in there too. We'll put an admin job ad into the folder because I think that would really help people. So we'll do that. Melody, I've watched the 33 Touch twice. Thank you. Yeah, it's good. I think you just have to map it out. And if you have a great admin and they can watch some of those videos, I think it gets overwhelming, or it feels overwhelming for a lot of us, but when you really just map it out and then you put a plan of action in place, it's not that hard. So how about shared calendars? Yeah. So we use Google for everything because I love Google, and I will tell you that my team has a shared calendar for everything. So let's see here. Here's what we did. So we share all of our calendars. Yeah, we'll get that job ad. And I'll read the next part of that too. So what we do is we created another calendar. My real estate team is called Roundtable. And we created a shared calendar, and we put all of the important dates that the admin has to be responsible for, and anything that like we're going to do, like a massive lead gen or whatever, our daily stand-ups on here, our buyer meeting, and anything we have under contract that's happening, which is unfortunate that I don't have anything here. But what we do is we put all of those important dates, everything that my admin has to be responsible for. So reply to inspections or closing date or, mortgage commitment due date, it's all on here, and it all reminds her 2 days before they're due so that she can reach out to my client for me, or she can reach out to the lender directly and see where we are with things. So, yes, I would share my calendar with my admin, and then I would also do a shared calendar with important dates. And if you haven't watched my Folio training that is on lead gen and objections, Folio is a really cool way to stay up to date with everybody on the timelines, especially during contract to close, but also like with a listing plan. Your admin can invite people in and everybody can be on the same page, and it's really great. So go watch that too if you think that might help. So job ad I will get in there. And what should you expect to pay an admin? So that's a really good question. And I think the answer is whatever you are comfortable paying. You want to try to find the most talented person in that you can for that amount. But the reality is if you're in somewhere like Seattle, or you're in somewhere like, New York, or, anywhere that's going to have a really high cost of living, then obviously you're looking at $50,000 and up. If you're not, then we've found really, really good people anywhere from 30 to 50,000. And it just really depends. If you're okay with a younger person or somebody who was a mom and they're coming back, then back into the workforce, maybe that 30 to 40,000 works for them, right? And if not, if you want somebody with a little more experience, putting a range on your ad from like 40 to 50 or whatever, 40 to 45 and plus bonuses is really going to help you a ton. So I would say, that's probably where you're going to operate. I think bonusing them is really great. And if you don't know what we do, this is actually, I own Soprani Consulting, and we help hire and we help train all things real estate. So every position in there. And so if you need any help or you need anything, you can always contact us. We're here to help. And of course, if you ever wanted to hire us to do it for you, we would love that. But again, we're here in the lead gen and objections to come from contribution, and we really do want to contribute to all of you guys in your businesses, because we believe that, or our mission really is to be the driving force between all of you guys in making great hires and having great training. And so this is a big part of it too. All right, so job ad would be great. Not high, right? Yeah, I mean, so. I think you can get away, if you put something up for 30 to 40,000 and then put a small bonus structure involved in there, I think you probably could stay around 35 and do something really cool. And you know what, Mark, if you specifically email me at Lindsay, which is LINZEE at sopraniconsulting.com, email me so I can remember this. Ask me for my listing manager job, because I can get you, if you are hiring your first admin, there's a bunch of things that, like, I've called a listing manager that kind of can help you run signs and stuff like that. There's kind of a cooler way, I think, to kind of get somebody to do a little bit more for you and compensate them really well. That's really worked well for me, and is kind of not in the models with everything else that people teach. So email me and I'll get it to you, and anybody else who wants that too. All right, we're having a problem with Folio, not able to have my admin to add us to Folio. So you have to invite them in as a timeline. But you know what? You should be able to bring them in, Melody, you should be able to bring them in as, like, they should be on your templates. I don't remember. I think I probably showed that, but I would imagine you tried that. Like, you can't add them in as somebody who's always involved. And you know what? It might be, so if you guys aren't using the same domain, it might have to do that. So if somebody's using like Gmail instead of like, yeah, I mean, you might have to have the same domain, but I feel like you guys have the same domain, so I don't know that that'd be your problem. But I can try to schedule a call with you and we can look at it too next week. What other questions do we have? So we're going to get a job ad in there, and I'll post a link to that. Here's our awesome, here's kind of our awesome Google Drive manual system that we set up for everybody. And what we do is we give you all these different templates and train your admin on them. So with that being said, I am going to actually pull that document in while I'm waiting to see if there's any more questions at all. We have job ads for almost everything here. And those are my questions. We'll give you interview questions too with my with some of my scenarios on them too. So that'll be nice. What other questions do we have? Anybody? Here's an example of like a job ad that we might use. I know this is going a little bit fast probably, but you would just fill it in. Anybody else? All right, so we're going to give you our training schedules so that you guys will kind of have some projects. You can always reach out to me, so email. Yep, so let's do this. This will be so much easier. And then for more information about what we do, you can visit sopraniconsulting.com. Did you change your 33 touch every year? I do. I do, because I think that that's really important. But I would say you probably could do a very similar one, and it doesn't have to be crazy. But just changing some of the things and some of the like auto emails or the postcards that you do would be really good. But you know, we recruit, we train, we consult. So we have a big business of lots of things that we can do to help you guys. And and it's just a matter of what you need. And all of our pricing's on here too. So we're pretty transparent. Everything that we do on video for you with your admin. So whether it's recruiting or training, we're going to give you guys information via video afterwards so that we're all on the same page. And again, that just keeps us organized and it keeps us transparent. And then, the hope is that nobody can ever say that we're not holding up our end of the bargain. All right. What else? Any more questions before I go? All right. Well, I hope that everybody's enjoyed this and I hope you got something out of it. And my hope is that you would hire somebody and you would have some really great things to give to them right off the bat and that you would be really successful next year. The goal when hiring an admin is to double your production. So may 2018 be amazing for you. And thank you, Mark. I would love for everybody to be in touch. Let me know how I can help you and how I can serve your business. Thanks.